Hey everyone, so I made it back to Arkansas and I'm getting prepped for a shoot tomorrow. And it's going to be a kind of a crazy shoot, but kind of fun at the same time. I'm working at a steel warehouse and it's a huge facility. We are kind of running around getting interviews with some of the workers as well as some B-roll. So it's going to be a lot of movement. So what I think I'm going to do is utilize my cart here, and I'm going to have two cameras, one dedicated for interviews. So I'm probably going to put my FX3 in here with audio and just kind of rigged out, ready to put on a tripod and shoot the interview portions, probably 4K, 24p, that sort of thing. And then I'm going to have a gimbal kind of set up here that will be shooting the majority of the B-roll, and that will be in 4K 60 frames per second. So that way I don't have to keep switching back and forth, just using one camera. I'm going to utilize two for this one. And I'm still trying to figure out best configuration. I'll have a tripod down there ready to go. Then I have a video monitor, director's monitor here that I might try and utilize. It just depends. The client might want to see a bigger image rather than hovering over my shoulder. So I'm still messing around with that. And as far as lighting, since we're going to be in kind of a dark warehouse, I'm going to bring a simple light package. But on the innovative cart, they have these cool C-stand holders. So I'm going to utilize those, and I'm going to put I have the Aperture F22C on here, and I'm going to have everything battery powered. So I have a gold mount plate right here, so I can power this light. And then I just have another Aperture Tamron tube, the T2C. And I'm going to use that maybe for some of the B-roll, or maybe like a hair light, kicker light sort of thing. If I can, and we have enough time, I might utilize that. But what I plan on doing is just rolling up the cart, keeping the stand attached to the cart, and then just using the stand as kind of a holder for the key light. Getting it in place, in the proper place, and then setting up my camera kind of here, and then the person doing the interviews can stand right in between me and the key light. Possibly. So I'm still trying to figure out. I'm going to bring this little T-mark. I'll leave a link in the description, but this thing is amazing. It's just like made out of sand and this kind of canvas material, but it's so we don't have to leave a bunch of gaff tape or anything like that kind of laying on the ground. We just kind of put the mark down where it needs to go and then pick it back up, and we'll do that for every interview just so people have an idea where to stand. But these are awesome. I'll leave a link in the description so you can kind of check them out yourself. So the next morning I loaded up my van and got everything ready and headed over to location. I arrived here on location about noon, and we did a little walk around, and luckily I already had my equipment kind of packed and ready to go, so load in was pretty quick on my end. Just had to balance gimbal and that sort of thing, but we did a little debrief and then we kind of dived into some B-roll. And the B-roll was fun. I mean, all the sparks and all the lights from people welding all the steel and all that. It was just kind of really cool. Very cinematic, and I filmed a lot of the B-roll, 60 frames, sometimes 120 frames on a gimbal. Personally, the gimbal was great. That's kind of what they had requested. I typically like more handheld work, so I would have liked to have done a lot more of that, maybe with an easy rig or something like that, just to make it a little bit more cinematic. Sometimes the gimbal shots are a little bit too clinical for me, just too smooth, and I don't mind a few here and there, but when it's all gimbal, it's not my favorite. We're just going over more plans on what the day is going to look like as far as interview. I think we picked out a couple of spots that would be great for interviews later. We weren't really staging a whole lot. It was just kind of as it was happening, we were capturing the action. So the first interview we did was in the actual warehouse here. Audio was a little tricky, but I think we managed to make it work. We found a relatively quiet spot to film this. And then a kind of a curveball to me, but I thought we were going to film the majority of the interviews inside the warehouse, but actually filmed about 90% of them in little offices, cubicles like this, without really much time in between to dress the location and set up a bunch of lights. I mean, these were like, we have 5 minutes to set up sort of thing. So not ideal for what I really envisioned, but I think we made do with what we had. But yeah, these are my favorite gold mount batteries. They're made by a company called iCan. And you wouldn't really think of batteries from this company, but these came out a number of years ago. And essentially it's a 95 watt and a 95 watt combined. They kind of break apart. You kind of take them apart. You can't use them independently, but together you can get about 200 watt hours out of it. I don't travel a ton with these guys, but when I do travel with gold mounts, I always bring these iCan batteries. And we're doing a bunch of interviews in little cubicles, and I eventually just said, can we film one of these maybe in a different location, not behind a computer? And I felt like this was definitely a better improvement from the other images we were getting. And I was excited that I actually got to use my FX3s. Normally I'm using my FS5s just because I can do a better rate on those cameras because they're a little bit older and I've, essentially paid for them 100 times over at this point. So I can usually cut a pretty good deal on using those cameras, and that's what lots of people end up going with. But this one, I was able to use my FX3s, and I was super happy because I love the image out of these cameras. So I finally got done with the shoot. It went pretty well. It was a call time about noon, and then we wrapped here at about 5:30. Overall, it was a great day. I mean, there are a couple things that I probably would have done different or changed knowing going into it, but I think we got some really good images, and overall, I think it turned out well. I don't know if you guys put your gimbal in your passenger seat, but that's one of my biggest pet peeves is having to build a gimbal on set. So I usually build it at home and then I just buckle it in. And before anyone says anything in the comments, I was not driving in that last scene. I was stopped picking up some food. It was essentially Valentine's Day, so I offered to grab some dinner for my family on my way home, so that way we didn't have to cook anything. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing and checking out the channel. And I just want to give a shout out to a couple of YouTubers that I've really been inspired by, and that kind of got this whole thing going for me. But I've been watching Cranky Cameraman for the last few years, and he's been a huge inspiration to me, as well as David Moorfield. I mean, the stuff they're putting out is amazing, and the BTS vlogs have just been so inspiring. So just definitely want to give credit where credit is due to those guys. And there's a number of other YouTubers that are doing the same thing. And honestly, I just love the YouTube community. It's just been really fun. But yeah, like I said, I love the YouTube community and all the creatives that I've been able to connect with. Everyone's just been so awesome. All the comments and all the support and likes that you guys have left. It's pretty amazing. I never thought I would actually end up making a YouTube channel, but I feel pretty motivated to keep going, and all the support that you guys have shown me, it's been amazing. So thanks so much. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.